tracks. Bravely we prove in our striving, trudging together each day. Where there's a will, there's a way.
Good afternoon. Daily Trudge. Sorry, most of my notifications from Facebook anymore are just it just says your live video from May 21st will be deleted. That's all I get. I have a bunch of them. Like 30 days from now, I'll be getting one for today. It'll have 3 of them. And talk about acceptance today. Not everybody is a fan of this topic. Sometimes it gets beaten into the ground. Talk about it. We talk about it a lot in AA meetings. It's a main topic. All right. Also, it starts with A. So if you're looking up, a topic for a meeting or something, you Google it. Acceptance probably can come up first because it's AC. All right. So, we're going to talk about acceptance today. How to use acceptance, when acceptance is used, and other things around acceptance. Acceptance is part of the process. It's a key to an answer, if that makes sense. It is acceptance in and of itself is not the answer or the solution. The solution is going to require action. But without acceptance, it's going to be tough to get to any kind of action. Right? So, let me open the window here. We'll get started. This is my 3rd one today, so I'm not really anticipating anybody. So, we're going to go ahead and get started. Not only that, but a lot of people that do hang out with me, they're going to see me in 50 minutes anyway. So welcome to Daily Trudge. My name is Dion. If you don't know my name yet, you're probably going to learn it if you stick around for a little bit. If you're here, please say hello, whether you're watching the live or the rewatch. All right. So we're going to go to the big book here. Page 417. It used to be on page 420 in the 3rd edition. All right. So we are on the 4th edition of the big book. I believe the first one came out in 1939. And see if I can get my dates right here. First one was 1939. Second one, 1955. Third one, 1976. And then the 4th edition came out in 2001. We are currently waiting on the 5th edition to come out. So there you go. Now, all I can hope for is that today's topic at the meeting is not acceptance. I don't think I'm chairing. Nope, I am not chairing. I'll probably chair tomorrow. I'll probably chair the 2 p.m. tomorrow. That's what it looks like. Good job, by the way, Grassroots. I didn't sign up to chair. Wasn't a chance. It all got taken. So I do the hosting and stuff. So, I'm going to start actually on page 416. If you would like to follow along. Do I have drinking juice? I do have drinking juice. I'm sorry, talking juice. All right. I'd already given up all the narcotics, most of the pills, and some of the alcohol when I first came to AA. By early July, I had tapered off alcohol completely and got off all the pills in the ensuing months. When the compulsion to drink left, it was relatively easy to stay off alcohol, but for some time it was difficult to keep from taking a pill when I had an appropriate symptom, such as a cough, pain, anxiety, insomnia, a muscle spasm, or an upset stomach. It has gotten progressively easier. Today, I feel I've used up my right to chemical peace of mind. So there's a lot of people in the program. We call this dually diagnosed. Okay. It can be a multitude of things. I'm dually diagnosed, but in a different way. So I have alcoholism, anxiety, depression, PTSD, and now I'm diagnosed with ADHD, and it's just too much. All right, so I'm multi dually diagnosed. But in this case, the dual diagnosis was drugs and alcohol. Okay, and sometimes these drugs can lead back to other things. Right? I'll give you an idea. Like Oxy, it certainly takes away my pain, but it gives me that high. It makes me feel lightheaded. Not like I'm drunk. Drunk is different. But if I want to, I can stay away from them. I don't, especially now that I know that it's addictive. I stay then. Ativan, another one. Right? That one's a little bit more dangerous for me. But every now and again, it does appear in my life. We're talking about acceptance. I accept you're alive. I can accept that you're alive. Hi, Amber. Good to see you. Like, I wish I would have caught the earlier one. But yeah, today I feel I've used up my right to chemical peace of mind. You know, absolutely. I used up my drink card and my wife's and any girlfriend I had at the time. My kids didn't have drink cards yet, so I couldn't steal theirs, right? It helped me a great deal to become convinced that alcoholism was a disease. That helped me too. That not a moral issue, which is weird because, gosh, I didn't have very good morals when I was drinking. I had moral issues. Actually, it was more along the lines of a spiritual malady than it was a condition that my condition was in. That I've been drinking as a result of a compulsion, even though I had not been aware of the compulsion at the time, and that sobriety was not a matter of willpower. The people of AA had something that looked much better than what I had, but I was afraid to let go of what I had in order to try something new. There was a certain sense of security in the familiar. That's why I like going back a little bit in this, because we get to hear more of what the writer had to say, right? Because we just used and acceptance as the answer to all my problems and stuff. But if we listen to this, I really appreciate this. That there were people in AA who was doing something much better than me. Imagine being 18 years old, living on Skid Row, ending up in a halfway house for homeless alcoholics. Even these people had something better than I did. And we were all homeless, and they've been living on the streets a lot longer than me. Some of them 20 years. The average was about 5. Person closest to my age was 34. Actually, I think it was 32. There was a 14-year difference. So, yeah, 32. Said 34 because there was a 14-year difference, and I put the 4 in, and that's why I'm a horrible CPA, because I can't get the numbers right in my head. I always mix them up. All right. But even then, these people that have been living on the streets for years and years had something better than this 18-year-old who was, fresh off the streets. Okay. But there was a certain sense of security in the familiar. At this point, there was no more familiar, though. It was gone. I didn't have a house to go home to. I didn't have a car to drive. I had a girlfriend. In fact, my girlfriend at that time is my wife now. So, at last, acceptance proved to be the key to my drinking problem. Acceptance, like willingness, is a key. And in this case, it's going to unlock awareness. I've got to throw G.I. Joe in this. You know I do. All right. So, you ever watch G.I. Joe and, it's the end of the episode or whatever, and at the end, there's a couple of kids trying to play with a down power line in the middle of the street. I still think about it. I'm like, are people that fucking stupid? I guess children are, right? Anyway, but he's like, don't touch that, you stupid idiots. It will kill you. It will fry your brain inside and out. You will set on fire, and it's going to be horrible. And they're all, thanks, G.I. Joe. Did you like my description on that? I was a lot more graphic. Right. Well, thanks, G.I. Joe. And G.I. Joe goes, and knowing is half the battle. And how entirely true for us with alcoholism. Knowing is half the battle. Look how long it took you to do your first step. Oh, well, I sat down with my sponsor and we did it the first day. No, however long your drinking career was how long it took you to do your first step. It is the longest step. And there is a reason why it is done 100% perfect. And it has to do with acceptance. So, right? So, what comes first? Even if you're aware that you're an alcoholic, and I think Amber will understand this one kind of like I do. Okay. When I was 14, I knew I was an alcoholic. I was aware of it. It wasn't until I was living on Skid Row that I was willing to accept it. The consequences created an acceptance for me. That's what it was. The gift of desperation created an acceptance for me. Okay, I can accept that. I can accept that I have it and that alcoholism is a disease. I can accept that. I was just talking to my therapist about this a little bit that, I've got all these things. None of them are my fucking fault, but I've got to take responsibility for them, right? So, but none of them are my fault. I didn't ask to grow up and have problem after problem after problem. It gets old, man. I've always had a problem. So, part of the process of awareness and acceptance. These two things kind of go together, right? But again, acceptance is a key, like willingness, all right? But with any problem that we face, with anything that we go through that might get tied to emotions, acceptance needs to be in there. Okay. Now, I will qualify that with acceptance does not equal abuse. Accepting abuse that's not okay. You can accept that it's going on to do something about it, like get out of there. Yeah, right. So it proved to be the key to my drinking problem. After I'd been around AA for 7 months, tapering off alcohol and pills, not finding the program working very well, I was finally able to say, okay, God, it is true that I, of all people, strange as it may seem, and even though I did not give my permission, really, really am an alcoholic of sorts. I like how they threw of sorts in there. It's kind of funny. I'm an alcoholic of sorts, you know, nice little qualification, right? Hey, if it works, right? So they were able to accept it as a disease. And because of that, they were going to do something about it, right? So I really am an alcoholic of sorts, and it's all right with me. Here's the key. Here's the point of acceptance. Now what am I going to do about it? Now what am I going to do about it? Now that I've accepted it. Why is that? Because acceptance is not, it's going to say it's the answer to all my problems today. That's going to come up, but it is not an actual answer without action. Acceptance is the answer if there's action involved in it. Right? Because we're looking for a solution, right? Well, how can you come up with a solution to a problem that you don't know yet? Right? When I stopped living in the problem and began living in the answer, the problem went away. Now it's going to sound weird what I'm going to say next, right? Because the first three steps are non-action steps. Huh. The steps in and of themselves are non-action. Meeting with your sponsor, you're reading the big book, you going to meetings, there's your action. That was the action. So even though steps 1, 2, and 3 require no action, just a decision, right? So it seems like there isn't any action, but there is, right? Amber says, what was my fault was when I became aware and didn't take the action to help myself. Yeah, about taking the responsibility for who you are. Yeah. At some point, we all need to get to a place where, you know, now just because I said, now I didn't, that wasn't my fault. It still doesn't mean that it's not my responsibility. It still is. Yeah. And that's where acceptance can work in your favor. Yeah. Thank you for that, Amber. See, and that's what it was, acceptance. From that moment on, I have not had a single compulsion to drink. Amber says decisions, decisions, decisions. You know, I like how you did it 3 times. Because 1, 2, and 3. Yeah. So you made a decision to quit drinking. You did. You made a decision that your life was unmanageable. You made a decision that maybe a higher power might be a way to go. Then you made the decision to invite that higher power into your life. It was all a decision. 3 frogs on a log. Right? Two of them make a decision to jump off the log. How many frogs are on the log? There are 3. They only made a decision. And acceptance is the answer. And then it's italicized to all my problems today. Throw a key in there. It is the answer to all your problems, because you cannot do something about the problem until you have accepted it in its entirety. A decision is usually a change in thinking. Absolutely it is. Right? The psychic change. You changed your mind. There you go. It was a decision. I no longer want to live this life anymore. Not to commit suicide, but in the fact that you want to take action in your life to cut off these faulty dependencies. Right? So, but we really got to listen to what they're saying here, right? So acceptance is the answer to all my problems. When I am disturbed, it is because I find some person, place, thing, or situation, some fact of my life unacceptable to me. And I can find no serenity until I accept that person, place, thing, or situation as being exactly the way it is supposed to be at this moment. Does that require action? Yes. What's the action? You're going to change. 4th step, 5th step, 6, 7, 8, and 9. Yeah. Right. So what is acceptance the key to? Well, it just told us, I will find no serenity. You won't find any serenity in this world until you can accept life for what it is. Acceptance is what usually gets me through my depression. I just accept that I'm depressed and that it's going to end sooner or later. Not much more I can do about it. It is what it is at that moment. Right? So, nothing, absolutely nothing happens in God's world by mistake. That's a hard one to take in, isn't it? Even in my mind, it didn't agree with it when I read it. It's true. I don't necessarily agree with it. What about human will? Was it God's will that somebody killed someone else? Or was that human will? I don't know. So why am I doing this? Because I cannot live in that world of hate and fear. I can't live in it. Look what's going on right now. All these protests. These people, you know what these people are protesting? Fear. And I'm fine with protesting. I think it's great. But in this situation, what I see is fear and hate. Hate for one particular person, no matter what they do. That is why. And they will find no serenity. Amber says, I also accept that everything is temporary. So if it's hard to accept the moment, I can accept that it's going to change most likely. Yeah. It is what it is. This too shall pass. And it always does. Always does. Got a little chilly in here. Now I'm Chilly Willy the Penguin. I'm frozen through and through. My head is hot. My feet are cold. Achoo. Weird thing to think about. God wants us to be happy, joyous, and free. What if murder makes someone feel those things? If it's God will, is it God's will? Mind fuck. Wow. I can't deny that point. Well, if that does make somebody happy, yeah. You're weird. No, I'm just kidding. No, I think that's a good point. Well, if somebody does enjoy that. Now, I also used to enjoy drinking and burning down my community. But was I really happy? So, who knows? Very good question, Amber. Until I could accept my alcoholism, I could not stay sober. Unless I accept life completely on life's terms, I cannot be happy. I need to concentrate not so much on what needs to be changed in the world as what needs to be changed in me and my attitudes. I accept I'm not a murderer. I'll accept that too, and I'm glad you're not one. All right. So I'm not going to find, as an alcoholic, I'm just not going to find much peace or serenity that I'm going to need to live that happy, joyous, and free life. So again, acceptance is the key that will set you free. It will. You want to know how else you want to know the big thing that we use acceptance for? It's unconditional love. Unconditional love. All right. That's going to be it for this one. Just thought I'd run my mouth a little bit more today, and now I got to set up for the meeting. So I hope everybody has a great Taco Tuesday. If you do not have tacos, I hope you eat something that you do enjoy. Yeah. If you'd like to join us for the meeting, it's in 30 minutes from now. So thank you, everybody, for being here. I appreciate it. I love you. You know I do. Peace out.